Good morning, friends. Welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Hey, thanks for joining me this morning. I'm going to give you a short devotional from Scripture, and then we're going to talk about updates of what's going on in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. So, hey, grab a good cup of coffee and join me. The one Libby put out this morning basically says, life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. Can life be wonderful even in the midst of the tragedies we're seeing all around us? Oh, yes, it can if you're a part of the kingdom. And we're going to talk about kingdom response here in a little bit. It's amazing that in the life of Christ, we're in Matthew chapter 13, reading some short parables about the kingdom. Listen to what he says in verse 44. The kingdom of heaven, Jesus says, is like a treasure buried in a field that a man found and reburied. Then in his joy, he goes and sells everything he has and buys that field. Verse 45, again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. When he found one priceless pearl, he went and sold everything he had and bought it. Seems like priorities are in order here. What is the most important thing in the world? It's the kingdom of heaven, that which is mentioned over 50 times just in the Gospel of Matthew, as Jesus emphasizes something that you and I should be thinking about even today. It's the church that gets most of the focus, but the fact is the church is one aspect of this growing kingdom of God that includes any real churches where there are real believers in Jesus Christ. And the kingdom has this influence effect on the rest of the world. And that's what we're seeing even right now as we've watched over these last few days, folks in the kingdom respond to the people in need in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Western North Carolina, and Tennessee. And there may even be more places because this has been a devastating tragedy all around us. But what happens when bad things happen to good people and bad people for that matter? Well, the people of God in the kingdom step up. Now, yesterday, it was a long day looking at things happening in our neck of the woods around upstate in Spartanburg County, where even yesterday, still 90% of the people didn't have power. In fact, if you look at the total power outages of all the states involved in this, South Carolina had more than any other state. But the total devastation seems to be worse of all places in Western North Carolina, where I also serve. And yesterday it was quite evident that it's going to take a long time to get things back, and whatever we called normal before this is never going to happen again. Let me give you an idea. If you'd like to donate, if you're just from far off and you want to be a part of the recovery effort, go to baptistsonmission.org. Now, there are many different organizations collecting money for this, but the best group out there that's just head and shoulders above others, and I've worked with 4 or 5 state conventions before, the best disaster relief crew of all is Baptists on Mission in North Carolina. We have more equipment, more supplies, more people, more volunteers, more chaplains, of which I am one. And so, folks, if you want to donate to a place that's making the most difference, having the most impact, baptistsonmission.org. You can even just put /donate at the end of that, and you won't have to search for the donate button. But in the way of things that are happening, many of the ways you can donate are locally. Now, in our association right there in Columbus, North Carolina, our high school has become the disaster relief shelter. And Midway Baptist Church in our association is the collection point for things coming from outside. So if you're one of those trying to bring in supplies or something else to us, try to coordinate with me or Pastor Randall Wood to bring those to Midway Baptist Church, where our Family Life Center is being used for that. Even though we don't have power at Midway right now, at least we have storage space. Well, as these things are brought in, we've received from the folks at the high school a list of those items that we're most in need of right now. What are they? Well, water, of course, is at the top of the list. Propane, large coolers, the to-go trays to serve people meals in, steam table trays, those little foil trays that fit in a steam table so that you can serve food from them. We need a lot of those. Need paper towels, baby wipes, toilet paper, cleaning supplies. That seems to be a given. One of the other issues you don't think about at a time like this is gasoline. I have to plan very carefully when I leave to make sure I get gasoline at the places it's available in the Midlands, as we're at Matt and Libby's house right now, where Sue at least has power to plug up her CPAP machine and we can wash clothes and do some other things that we take for granted day in and day out. But then when I hit the road, you have to be careful. You do not want to find yourself running out of gas before you go into one of these areas where the power is still out. In some cases for dozens, maybe hundreds of miles, because you won't be able to find gas. And if you get close to those areas, you may find a gas station that is open, but the line may be backed up to where you may be caught in it, like some folks we heard about who sat there for some time waiting to get gas, only to have the owner of the station come out and wave his arms and say, "We're done, the gas is gone," and then discover that you're in the lurch, one of those behind the last folks that got the gas. So gasoline is an issue, and one of the reasons it's an issue is many of our folks in Western North Carolina, even some in our church, have a gasoline generator. It's like, oh wow, this is so exciting. We've got a generator for emergencies like this. The only problem is you have to have gasoline to put in it for it to work. So when you're getting low, you have to decide, what am I going to do? And which direction am I going to go find gas? So if you can do, this is part of what I was doing even yesterday, if you can bring gas to people, it is really a blessing when folks are trapped. And in some cases, having to do unusual things just to keep the lights on, especially if you have small children, you got babies, you have loved ones, have elderly you're trying to take care of. You run out of gas for that generator, well, you're back to square one. And what happens when the power goes off? Well, your frozen food will stay fine for about 24 hours, but then it all starts to melt, doesn't it? Well, yesterday we were in the midst of cleaning up in a couple of different places where not only do you now have to dispose of some stuff that may represent hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment, but then you have to find a place to put it. And many of the, especially in upstate South Carolina, those wonderful trash recycling centers that we're so used to taking our trash to are closed because there's no current, there's no electricity to run all the equipment. The gates are locked, and in some cases people are just showing up piling trash in front of the gates. Well, you don't want to do that either. Oh my goodness, can you see the domino effect of what's happening all around us up here? And that's despite some of the worst conditions when we talk about the roads that are completely gone, the people that are trapped in places that they can hardly get out of. Many rescue efforts have taken place, and we saw a couple of gigantic groups of trucks and water rescue vehicles and others coming into our area just trying to get up there to be used. Well, what's the good news in all this? Well, I'm excited to tell you that Baptists on Mission are jumping into action. In Western North Carolina, we have several spots where we're working. These are only a few that I'll mention. There are many more than this, but I do know about these for certain. Now, in the Asheville area, it's actually Biltmore Baptist Church in Arden, just south of Asheville. It's the staging area because of their huge parking lots, and we're able to set up a lot of things there. But the trouble with that is the people that need help have to be able to get there, or someone has to get the help from there to where they are. And the roads around Western North Carolina are just preventing a lot of that. But Biltmore Baptist in Arden is one of those locations. First Baptist Church of Boone, Perkinsville Baptist Church that I worked with years ago in Boone is one of those sites. First Baptist Church of Spruce Pine, Grace Community in Marion. And then, of course, where we are in Hendersonville, there are three primary locations you need to be concerned with. Of course, where I'm pastor right now at Mud Creek Baptist Church, we're the staging ground for a lot of the work crews working on the power lines, but we're also receiving In our student center, we're receiving donations of just about anything and everything. First Baptist Church, right around the corner from us, is the setup point for Baptists on Mission in town. And then out at Ebenezer Baptist Church across the interstate, another setup point. And we need all the help we can get around Henderson County. It has been a devastating event for us, and we're just praying that everyone will be found safe. Well, listen, with all of these things that are happening, I could babble and keep going on, but what we need first and foremost are your prayers. Lift those every day for the people involved, not just the ones in need, but for the workers that are on the road and trying to make a difference each and every day. I'll be working from South Carolina today. I'll be back in North Carolina tomorrow, but I'll perhaps be able to put up some little short videos about things that we're seeing that are positive, with people that are responding in a positive way toward this disaster. Pray for those that are working for the long hours. Those folks that are in the feeding units, you've got to understand, they get started sometimes 4 or 5 in the morning, and they're going all day. So pray for their stamina, pray for their health, pray for the supplies that are coming in to get where they need to be. And as you're praying for these folks, of course, always pray that encouragement and prayers and supports given to these folks in their time of need. That is one of the most desperate things we can give today. Tomorrow I'll be back in Western North Carolina again, working from both Polk and Henderson counties. And, day by day, you can't really predict where you're going to be or what's going to be going on because of the need. But thank you, Baptists, for responding. Thank you for the folks like Bob Lohman over there in Charlotte, just engineering a massive move from churches in Charlotte to assist. Thank you, Peter McDonald, for getting your church involved. Thank you for all the folks. You think about all the way west and south in North Carolina, we were still recovering from disasters down in the lowlands and the coast that we haven't been able to recover from yet. And so to see this completely enveloping almost the entire state has been monumental. The folks in Tennessee are having all kinds of issues as well. Some of you saw the hospital there in Unicoi County where folks had to be evacuated to the roof until they could be rescued from the rising floodwaters. You can't make this stuff up, folks. A movie put out 10, 20, 30 years ago that would have been science fiction to imagine this kind of disaster could not have touched what we're actually going through. So friends, your prayers, your support, they're needed at this time. But be careful, be safe, take care of your family, check on your loved ones, and I'll see you again right here tomorrow when we hopefully can wake up in His Word. And many of the folks that I know normally watch me can't even do it. They don't have internet service. They don't have cell service. I'm making these videos for some people who will never get to see them or will see them way after the fact. So friends, we got a lot ahead of us. With the Lord's patience and perseverance, we'll make it through. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow when we wake up in His Word.